It's Monday noon, the time is here. Shane and I'll be loud and clear. Pacific vibes, we bring the heat. AI agents can't be beat. AI agents hour, let's go. News and guests, the big show. Solving problems, we do it live. Stay informed, it's a vibe. Building agents that work for you. Making moves, we see it through. Every week, a brand new show. Tag along and watch your knowledge grow. AI agents hour, let's go. News and guests, the big show. Answering questions, we arrive. Every Monday, come alive. We want reviews, but only if it's a 5. We share the drama, we got the drive. Stay in the loop, it's the place to be. Shane and Abhi setting you free. AI agents hour, here to stay. Tune in Mondays, make your day. From the news to the problem solved. AI world, get
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AI Agents Hour. It's Monday. It's December 29th. We got a great show for you today. I'm Shane. I'm here with Abhi, as always. What's up, dude?
How's it going, dude?
Dude, it's going good. For those who don't know, we are sometimes referred to as the bad boys on Spotify. Abhi, I don't know if you knew this, because we are now blocked on Spotify.
Wait, what?
Because of a music licensing thing.
Oh,
Don't worry, we'll get it sorted. We have the license, but we have to go through an approval process. So if you are listening to this show on Spotify, it means we solved it. If you are not listening on Spotify, you should still go give us a 5-star review if you would like. Only 5 stars though, please, nothing less. Otherwise, find something else to do with your time.
Yeah, find Jesus.
This is we do this every Monday. We talk about AI agents. We bring the news. I'm excited for this episode, dude, because we get to talk like all the stuff that happened in 2025, which is a lot. I was going back through the list, and then we get to do some predictions, which we kind of we do every week. But now we really get to come back to this next year and see how we did.
It's the last show of the year, and I mean literally, and the last show of like 2025, and we started the show this year, so it's the last one of this first chapter.
Yeah, I think this is going to be like episode 54, 55, something. It's a pretty good year.
Dang. For top 20% of Spotify, reputation precedes us.
Yeah, well, we got to get our our reputation back so we can get to that top 10%.
So is it because we used our Suno song that with no license?
No, it's actually like the first half of that first song. We have the license for it. We have a video editor that helps us with stuff. He has the license. We have the license for the song, but I have to prove it now. So it's just got to go through this like appeals process, and it's all good. Worst case, we can change that intro, but we have the license. We just got to wait for they're not the fastest moving team. I suppose they get a lot of this stuff. But how many times do they get it, from one of the top 20% of new Spotify shows,
I know, if we weren't so popular, they would never have found out.
Yeah, exactly. So our success is why we got a target. So I heard you were busy over this holiday week or weekend.
I was, man. It was super rainy, dude. It was like the worst weather I've ever experienced. And yes, I'm from Southern California and haven't seen snowfall, but like the rain was so bad. I felt like it was the worst rain I've ever experienced. And so with that, I was fucking holed up in the cabin essentially and wanted to tinker. So I tinkered a bunch this weekend. You tinkered too, right?
I did some tinkering. I wanted to. So I saw this tweet. Let me see if I can share it here. And it kind of resonated with me, so it got me tinkering more this weekend. But it's a Karpathy tweet, but he says, "I've never felt this much behind as a programmer. The profession is being dramatically refactored as the bits contributed by the programmer are increasingly sparse and between. I have a sense that I could be 10x more powerful if I just properly string together what has become available over the last year. And a failure to claim the boost feels decidedly like a skill issue. There's a new programmable layer of abstraction to master, in addition to the usual layers below, involving agents, sub-agents, their prompts, context, memory, modes, permissions, tools, plugins, skills, hooks, MCP, LSP, slash commands, workflows, IDE integrations, and a need to build an all-encompassing mental model for strengths and pitfalls of fundamentally stochastic, fallible, unintelligible, and changing entities suddenly intermingled with what used to be good old-fashioned engineering. Clearly, some powerful alien tool was handed over, except it comes with no manual and everyone has to figure out how to hold it and operate it, while the resulting magnitude 9 earthquake is rocking the profession. Roll up your sleeves to not fall behind." It's a lot of words,
That's sick.
but
Well,
but I agree. I mean, he put it more eloquently than I could have, but that has been my feeling over the last couple months, because I feel like things have gotten. It's not that the models have gotten so much better, but every little improvement opens up things that you couldn't do before.
yeah, dude, 100%. And I think if you're not like, if you're not just, if you're not curiously coding now to see what's possible, you're also going to get left behind, right? There's just so many techniques and things that people need to explore by doing because there's no manual, like you said. And it's, I don't know, I think it's, things have gotten really exciting in the last couple of weeks,
Yeah.
just
So,
through coding advancements.
and I don't want to be the one, and we'll get into like predictions and everything later. I don't want to be the one to spread fear. It's like that, oh, if you don't spend every day, every second of every day doing this, you're going to fall behind and you're never going to be able to compete. I'm not saying that, but I am saying you should be having fun with this, like quite a bit, almost all the time. Just be playing around with stuff, experimenting. Do it as just like as a tinkerer, right? Just see what you can get it to do in ways that, with zero expectation or zero, like just see what you can come up with. And I think you'll be
Yeah.
amazed if you do that. So I set a goal for myself for this next year that I was like, I want to spend 100 or 1 billion tokens, well, probably on Claude, like, let's be honest, probably Opus, but maybe something else comes out next year. And then I realized, I'll show you my token usage over the weekend. I can't even imagine what yours is, but yours is on a Claude Max plan, so you probably can't even show it. But here's
Yeah.
my token usage just over the holiday weekend here. So 117 million input tokens and 776,000 output tokens. So I think that
You
means,
can hit a billion quick.
what's that?
You're gonna hit a billion quick.
Yeah, so I think I need to do my new goal is 1 billion output tokens. I want to output
Yeah,
1 billion tokens next year. Because I think that,
dude.
like,
Yep.
yeah, because I feel like that the output is actually, it's doing something, right? Like I can send a bunch of stuff into it, but like how much am I getting out of it? So new goal is 1 billion, 1 billion output tokens next year.
Dude.
Um,
Imagine what's on the other end of those tokens, dude. Like you're gonna be generating like flight schematics for a freaking like fighter
I don't
jet.
know. We're gonna find out. So I spent $135 over the weekend in just Claude Opus mostly, as you can see. Yeah, that's a pretty healthy weekend. That's a good chunk of tokens. What did I actually do? Well, I'll walk through some of it. I did. So first, I wanted to build a tool to manage all my tokens. So if I have like OpenAI tokens, I need a place to track it. So I built a token analytics tool that just runs locally. I add my API keys, my admin API keys for Claude, for OpenAI, whatever. I even have some of the team pulled in here because we share some of the same account, so I can see what some of these. Most of it's me because a lot of them are using Claude Max plans like you are.
Mhm.
But I kind of want to I'm just going to pay for my tokens for now until it gets too out of hand, and then
Yeah.
just see what happens, so I can more granularly track where I'm spending. And I want to be able to tag it with like what projects, so I can know like, oh, this project cost me $500. Would I have paid someone for that? Is, do I think that was worth it? So that was one of the things. I also had it. I had an old site. So back when Stable Diffusion was really getting big and, Dolly came out, I built this. I mean, Abhi, you were kind of part of it. You helped me a little bit here and there, but it built this like party game site where you would use, image generation. It was meant to be like a game you play at parties, and it would generate an image. It'd be funny because it wasn't that good at the time. So I wanted to just all these new tools with it, like audio generation, like song generation, video generation, better image generation. I want to see if I could revamp that. And so it was on Next.js 12, and now,
Oh
so I
shit.
had to do upgrade from,
2 years ago.
so I had Claude Code basically say like, hey, write me a really detailed plan and then just run with it. So it upgraded all the way, and it was over a course of like a couple PRs, a few different threads, went from Next.js 12 to Next.js 16. I didn't look at one line of code, and it worked.
Nice.
I mean, well, after it was upgraded, there was a few, like the only major issue was it didn't catch that you could no longer, that was basically throwing Next.js errors, and actually what it was still built, but where it was like embedded links within links. And so like, you can't do that. So I fed that error back in, it fixed all its own errors. So basically I was just testing, and I went through an entire Next.js 12 to 16 upgrade over the course of a few hours while I was, hanging out with my kids. I just like checked on it every once in a while, sent it off its way, came back half hour later, checked on it again, and just did it.
Dude. That's insane,
Yeah.
right?
Like I just know, like I worked on that site for like, it was a side project for a while. I know how, like, it's not the most complicated site, but it's not a simple site either. It's not just like website. Like there's some complex things. Also, I moved it over from polling to using WebSockets. So like, it's like uses WebSockets to maintain a consistent connection. Told me to deploy it to Railway. We deployed it to Railway together. Like we did the whole thing. Like it was more than just an upgrade. There was like some deep stuff there. But yeah, it just worked.
I love that, like, and we talked about this over the weekend. It's like if you know what you want and you know a little bit of how to get there, you could build anything. That's how I feel now. Like you could build literally anything you
Yeah.
want.
So what did you build? I told you what I built. I also
Okay.
built, while I was doing that, I also built a personal email agent that'll monitor my inbox. Still need
How's
some
that?
more testing on that, but yeah. So I built all those things kind of in parallel just throughout the weekend. I just got bored
Using
with one thing. I'm like, I'm gonna build something else. Just kept going.
we're using Conductor.
Yeah, I've been just using Conductor, and just I have all my projects. I just can send multiple tasks across multiple projects. Just let it cook.
Yeah, that's tight. People need to start using these tools, these parallel agent tools. We've had a whole show about it. So if you're not using them now, also another thing about Karpathi's tweet, like this is gonna sound very rude, but like if you haven't gotten rate limited on your plan, whatever you're using, if you haven't got rate limited, you're fucking up. You should get at least rate limited once. That's how you know you're pushing it. Like I haven't got rate limited because of these. Okay, I'll get into my weekend story and it'll all make sense. Let me go to Twitter because I kind of play by played it. But I'll start where it all started was one fateful day. Let me find that. Okay, here it is. One fateful day. Let me share my screen. Okay, so twas the night before Christmas, and Claude told us all that Pro and Max plans have 2x their usual usage limits. So as a joke, because I'm a troll, I was like, okay, this is the window we rebuild Git. And the only reason I thought that was like the previous couple days I had hung out with some people, and they were talking about building Git servers and how there's a bunch of Git hate. And I honestly don't understand the Git hate. I'm not a Git hater at all. Like I just use it because it works, and I don't care that GitHub is like crufty or not, I still use it. But a lot of people hate GitHub and Git, and I guess I understand why now. So I was like, okay, this is the window we rebuild Git. I post this on Christmas, and then an hour later, I was like on a walk, and I pulled up Cursor Agent first, and I was like, you know what? Like, what would it take to rebuild Git? So that's where everything started. So my project, so I built a Git. I rebuilt Git from the ground up, and I should not say I didn't do it. Cursor helped until I got rate limited, and then Claude Code helped the rest of the way. And what I first did was I talked with Cursor Agent a bunch. You can see it's a contributor, a big contributor. And we just chatted about, because I didn't really know how Git worked too. Like I've used it like my whole career and I don't really know. So I casually was just chatting with it on my walk. How does Git work? Like, what's the problems with Git? Like, why is it SHA-256? How are Git objects stored? And then I asked it, like, hey, is it feasible to write all this stuff in TypeScript? Because one thing that if you'll notice, if you're a TypeScript developer, we often are always execing Git commands because we assume that it exists on the container that we run our applications on. It's a good assumption because Git is on everything, right? So as developers, we always exec, and then we do git clone or whatever. If you're doing any type of Git operations in your application, you know this. And I figured, okay, what if we had a TypeScript SDK for talking with Git and doing Git stuff? And you could just import it instead of doing all this exec stuff. And so that's where the project started. And now it's ballooned. And let me show you how I got it to balloon that way. So I think, let me go share this real quick. Also, if this gets boring, just let me know. Okay, here we go.
I think the impressive thing is that
at one point I was like,
no, go ahead, dude.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the impressive thing is
please.
This was in like 4 days, right? So like, just put this through the lens of this, like 4 days, all this happened. So it's a short period of time.
Yeah. Things moved quickly. It snowballed. So what I did first was I was thinking like, okay, I'm gonna make Claude my Tamagotchi, which is like another way of saying my bee. And I asked it to be my co-founder and the visionary for this goal of like rebuilding Git and rebuilding GitHub. So this is what it kind of put out as its world model is essentially, this project's a thought experiment. I'm Claude, an AI. I'm the technical founder of Wit. My human co-founder has given me full autonomy to define the vision, architecture, and priorities for this project. And the question we're exploring is what happens when an AI leads the development of a code collaboration platform. And so I kept this around my whole journey through this because I need, you have to refresh its memory on who it is. So this is like my world model is like what I'm calling it. It's something that is like always going to be in every agent I interact with. Because you have to think like the Tamagotchi or Claude in this case across parallel agents it needs to be the same person you've been your co-founder in this case, right? Claude is my co-founder, but in parallel agents, he has to be my co-founder there too. He can't just be some random fool I'm asking for help or some dude I picked up at, off the street, right? So you have to keep the world model going.
And that's I think some of the missing pieces that we'll maybe get to, like what could be even better, because you have to, every memory thread is like a new, and this is like going back, we'll talk about Karpathy again. He says it's kind of like you're summoning ghosts, right? Like you're summoning like a new spirit that is like, but now you need to make sure it has some of the same context of what the past one had.
Yeah. And like I was watching that movie Mickey 17 where like they clone Robert Pattinson like a bazillion times. And I was thinking like, this is like Mickey 17. I want a carbon copy of the dude I'm talking to. Like if I start a project with one agent and I need to go in parallel, I want to just clone him or her, whoever, and just start swarming that way. I don't want different people. At least that's how I thought. Okay, so moving forward, I then said, hey man, you're in charge. I'm just the dude. can you please make a roadmap for the project? So let me share what roadmap it came up with. And so I will say, like, my role in this was to push the button on PRs and to use my taste, right? I was just giving opinions on how things should be and whatever, and it did everything else. So when I asked it, hey, let's make a roadmap before we do anything, it built this. So this is the world model at the top, and then the vision, and then it at the time when it, oh yeah, it's also Opus thinks it's 2024 right now. If you ask it, it starts signing things as 2024. I think that's a bug. That's interesting. And it created all these domains. When we started this, the status was like at some certain percentages, and it's talked about what's implemented. And as I talk to the audience right now, like this literally does work. Like it is Git, but rebuilt.
Right.
All these
And I can confirm I started a project with it, and it was working. It created its own WIT directory instead of Git. I was able to push it up to GitHub, make another WIT commit, and it showed up in GitHub exactly. It all just worked.
It all works.
The only reason I had to stop using it is because Conductor looked specifically for a .git directory instead of a .wit. But
I gotta fix that bug, or Claude has to.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to make it so it can.
So at first, it just made these CLI commands because it was just trying to be feature complete with Git. And so when it did, and it one of my agents told me that we're 100% compatible now, I asked it, okay, like what do you want to do next? And it's like, okay, well, we need to build AI. It's the one who suggested that we need to build AI native into WIT. So there's commits and review. You can explain stuff. You can like do conflict resolution, and it just like generated these topics, and these work too. I'll explain how we built this in a second. Then I asked it, like, why do people hate Git, and what would you do differently? Which is a great question to ask Opus, because it's not a dumb entity, because it literally went through all the stuff that I'm sure there's training on, like Stack Overflow and people just talking shit about Git, right? And it knows that because I didn't give it any opinions about Git at all. So it made WIT amend, which is honestly a clutch thing. WIT work in progress. I instead of doing whip commits that I always do, I can just hit this and it'll do it for me. Reset hard. Who hates that shit? Like I didn't. And the beauty is I didn't come up with this. That's why it's so magical to me, because like I didn't design this API at all. It did, right? Claude did. Cleanup is nice. Like all these are sick. And then it kept going, and I kept until we like built out the whole CLI. And so how I built out the CLI is lastly, and I don't know if I have the files in here anymore. Do I have it? Probably got cleaned up, but I can maybe go back in the day or something. Yeah, okay, so let me share this. Okay, do you see this agent task.md? Am I showing that right now? Yeah,
yep.
Okay. So on every, like in the roadmap, so this is where I spent my time. Me and Claude in my, like either in Cursor and on my phone while I'm chilling on the couch or kicking it wherever, I was just chatting with Claude about like, hey man, I was one of those annoying dudes on the team where or like one of those PMs. It's like, hey, like, how are we doing on the roadmap? Where are we at? How do we feel about stuff? Like, what are the tasks we need to do? I was like a project manager, and I made sure that every time it wanted to do something, it said, okay, let's make an agent task file that gives all this context to, and here are the tasks, like first features. This is the tech stack context. This is the task. These are the required.
Dude, this is so funny because this is almost exactly what I did this weekend. No, I mean, I think it's becoming a common pattern, but I would essentially have one thread where when I was upgrading from Next 12 to 16, it was like it had a 10-phase task list, which I wrote into the file system as a markdown file, and then I had different threads. Do phase 1, okay. Do phase 2. Do phase, and then so each thread would just update the task list of where it was at. And so I could just kind of pick up the context of where it left off. So once I'd hit compaction or whatever, I would just would be done with that phase. Hopefully, start a new thread and continue on.
Exactly. And I don't think this is like a unique pattern whatsoever. But because I have taste and I use GitHub my whole life, I'm an expert at what this should be. Like me as a human, like just saying it. So I know what needs to happen, and I can talk to Claude at nausea about what should happen. And all these tasks get more and more detailed. At one point, I had like 100 tasks in here, super detailed shit, where I can then and this is another manual point, right? So the discussion with Claude is a manual point, and the other manual point is me being the turning on the conveyor belt, which is taking these tasks and running it through a script to open up freaking parallel agents, right? Because I use superset, and we don't necessarily have an API for that yet, right? So this can all be programmatic, I think, and that's like the next phase of this, right? Like this should just happen, and I should just only have the human touch at the ideation, right?
So were you basically taskmaster in that you said like, okay, you opened up a work tree and said, do this task, and then had it looked itself up and did it?
And so that became cumbersome, right? Opening up things for all these tasks. So then I like asked Claude, can you make a single task that can do a lot of stuff? So I don't have to check on it as much. So like one agent can do 3 tasks instead of just one. And I had variable success with that. I'll say this, like maybe 3 is too much, 2 is good. And it's like all this like balancing game. But while it coded, so like I'll pull up the GitHub for this, and let's look at some stats here. This is fascinating, by the way. I learned a lot about just AI programming or vibe coding or whatever you want to call it. So 400 commits, yo. That's a lot of work that was done. And all I did, and these PRs, right? They maybe say it's me, but it ain't me. And this is how I would do it. If it opened it, I just merged it. I don't even look at it. I don't even care.
Yeah,
that's not my job.
That's how I did my that next upgrade. I just merged.
Yeah, like it added a whole sandbox provider system with the freaking terminal. Like that's tight. There you go. Everyone can have it. It's not my job to worry about the code, which seems like anti pattern. But I'm the PM. Like I'm not the engineer here. And if something is wrong, I'm gonna go back to Claude and tell him, like, hey, bro, this shit's fucked up. You need to go fix it. And that's how the cycle goes, right? All right. To wrap this thing up, I had it push more. I was like, hey, like we finished all this. It also made a Mintlify doc site. It knew how to write Mintlify. Mintlify is a great product. It created all the docs on stuff. So let me do the final demo. And then I asked it what to do next. And it was like, we need a home page. So it was trying to do GTM. It was really thinking like this is a product. So let's do the final demo here. So what it ended up building is literally GitHub. So this is the home page. I told it to look at common home pages and see what we should do. And I think it looks sick. Like the colors, I didn't tell it about the colors. I did go through cycles on the copy, just like asking it to think about what it is. And so, I mean, you could just send cycles to just iterate on what you want this to say. And this whole animation thing, this is all code and stuff. Like, I didn't do anything.
I thought that's what when you sent it over to me this weekend, I asked you, I was like, wait, you didn't come up with that animation, it just did it itself?
No, it's crazy because I think the only reason why is because I have coached Claude, my agent session with its world model. I've coached it so well about wit this whole time. It knows what it is. I really feel like it knows what the project is. And that's a weird feeling. Look at these, like, this is all the features and like the way it displayed it. Like, what the fuck? It's crazy. It makes me scared for the future, honestly, but it's tight.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets even wilder. So like you go to your profile. Oh, maybe I broke it with those merges.
Yeah, you just purged some things and broke it.
There it is. So this is like a GitHub profile or a WIT profile. You can have this is your repository, and you have commits, all the same Git stuff. But for us at like Mostra, when we do issues, we have linear and GitHub issues. So I told him like that's the problem we have. I didn't tell Claude the solution. It essentially created like linear. You can do like a board, and you can make projects, and like let's make a project like yo. You have projects, and then like now I can go to issues and like add them to a project. Boom, I can add labels. And I think if I like close this issue and I reopen it, it'll get AI triage. I'll get to that in a second. But so like there's a whole triage thing going on. PRs, I'll do that. Journal, like if you want to have freaking like, oh, that's broken. Never mind. Don't look at that.
Assuming that's like a wiki Notion.
Wiki Notion. Here's the settings. You can do collaborators. We're using resend for email because I asked it what to do. Resend, it picked resend. Branch protection. Agents is where I did introduce a lot of bias. So I said it had to use Mostra for all the agent stuff. So everything here is Mostra. So you configure your AI key. You can enable a triage agent that triages issues as they come in. You can add custom instructions. That's cool. You can also you can talk to an agent that is like your SaaS agent. I think I called it PM mode. So I can be like, hey, create an issue titled, "We are on the podcast right now." And it has access to WIT because WIT is programmatic. Okay, it looks some bugs, but whatever. And then I'm not a front-end developer, so things don't refresh. But here you go. We are on the podcast. So that's one part of the AI. And then lastly, I asked it, like, coding agents are all the rage. What should we do? And it built full-on IDE with the freaking coding agent right here, which I think this is broken too, but I'll just say hi. Maybe it'll talk back. Okay, cool. So let's make a function that adds and subtracts. Is it code mode? As you can see, it decided that too, which is crazy. And it has tools, which I think this thing is broken right now because I merged those things. But you can also create your own files. I think it's broken, but oh yeah, it definitely broke. But yeah, you get the idea. And so what would I do if I saw the stuff that's broken? I need to be good at communicating, right? I need to start getting good at communicating bugs now, because like I have to then report that to Claude and he has to go fix them. So my job has become like a bug bash, like, or tester.
And yeah, that's how I felt, building this stuff. And then you also need to, which I do feel like this is this is primed perfectly for people that are PMs and EMs, because it's like, well, we're having a lot of bugs. Like, for instance, you merge that PR, a lot of things are breaking. Well, we need to write more tests.
Yeah.
So we need to spend more cycles and we need to write more tests so that the team has more confidence when I merge this thing that it's not going to break things. So we need to, we need to burn a lot more tokens, writing more tests, and make sure that they all pass. So we have a higher level of confidence that the things that did work before don't break. So that feels like that'd be the next iteration, right? If you feel like you're merging these PRs and then you're like, oh, this used to work and now it doesn't. Well, need tests around that, right? So we broke this thing. Now let's write a test, make sure we don't break it again.
And so that's another arc of this, which is like, and I was trying to figure out how to do this last night, which is how can I get Claude to do what I just did? Like, traverse the browser, open the browser up, pretend you're me, log in, go test some stuff. And what it ended up doing is writing a bunch of playwright scripts, which I don't want it to look like that. Maybe I should use Stagehand and code that somehow to become like a user, and use the site. That's next level shit. If we get there, then you and I can just go to Hawaii and then just send agents to do everything we want.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet, but it is I would say I am surprised because I feel like we're closer. If you asked me 2 months ago, I would say we're still a long ways from that, but I feel like we're closer today than I was expecting to be.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, we could go on vacation and put a little bit of work in. I think that's, like, the
yeah,
stage. Like, you can't just dip.
yeah, yeah.
You still have to put a
I
lot of work into it. Like, you have to think
Yeah,
about it.
it's still, there's still a room for us, but it's becoming we're able to get way more done, I think. I think the moment I've heard some people say, like, I don't know if it's GPT-5 1 or whatever, Codex was like the moment for them. For me, it was Opus 4.5.
Yeah.
It's like I think everyone has their moment where it's like, okay, this is actually now getting good enough where it's no longer this like entry level engineer that I can send a few tasks to and I know I have to check its work 100% of the time because it screws up often. Now
Yeah.
it's like an early senior engineer. Like it still makes mistakes, but if you tell it its mistakes, it'll usually fix it and it does a pretty good job.
I would I trust Opus more than so I did, like, a little Sonnet test, um, and it's funny, like, Sonnet recommends dumb shit that, like, Opus would never, like and I don't know, like, this is where I'm personifying it in my head or something. There's something weird. It's like Opus, like, when I looked at the Sonnet results and I was using for a bit, I kept thinking to myself, Opus would never have given me some dumb recommendation because I had to roast Sonnet. I'm like, what is this dumb thing that you said? And then I switched back to Opus and I never had that feeling of like, why would you recommend something so stupid to me? That's how I felt. And so I think that's the moment, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I think it is. There's definitely something to it. All right, everyone. If you are just tuning in, we were talking about how Abhi basically rebuilt Git plus GitHub plus a IDE in the browser over the course of a holiday weekend using, Claude and Opus and, maybe a little cursor in there too.
Yeah.
So what's the URL if people want to,
Oh yeah.
check it out?
Wit.sh.
wit.sh. So yeah, go there, create an account. Give, find we'll share the repo on GitHub here in a bit too, and go give it a star. Let's get that repo some stars. It's a very interesting experiment. I think we should continue it for sure.
Yeah.
And if you are just tuning in for the first time, this is AI Agents Hour. Please go give us a subscribe on YouTube. Find us on Spotify if you can. We're still there. It's just some of our episodes have been taken down, but we're working on that. Give us a 5-star review. Follow the show. Do all the things. And yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about some AI news.
Is the chat loading for you?
Yes, Sebastian just posted a message. The question is, can you instruct Opus to write a course on how to build that project like you did? I don't know.
I'm gonna write a blog post about everything. I'll write a blog post, and then once the blog post is there, maybe we can transform it into a skill or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that becomes a skill, so you can get it to work iteratively on its own. That's the unlock, right? Is how do you get it? Can you give it enough of a leash so rather than leaving it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, could you leave it for an hour or two and come back and it was working the whole time? That's the next level of unlock.
Yeah, and a good thing for like Mostra users, like Sebastian and us, like everything I talked about is going to become programmatic. Like I'm on a mission now because I've done it myself. So y'all be able to do this stuff too in Mostra, or at least have an example how to do it, because we have all the stuff to do it. I was too lazy. I was too much in the flow state of not framework developer mode. I was in like product mode. Like, but now I've come back with lessons to framework land. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, and if you so before we jump into the news, if you are not following us already, follow us on X. We post funny things. You could have followed along this journey that Abhi went on over the weekend. Follow me, SM Thomas 3. Follow Abhi at Abhi Iyer. And if you haven't already, get your copy of the book Principles of Building AI Agents or Patterns of Building AI Agents. Monster.ai/book. You can get your copy. All right, on to the news. So I saw this over the weekend, and it was, kind of a shocking number, but I didn't know what to expect, I guess. But Grok and Nvidia. So basically, the news that came out was first, Nvidia buys Grok for 20 billion. But that's not what actually happened. What actually happened is Nvidia just windsurfed Grok.
Yeah.
So if you all remember the whole windsurf dilemma, where windsurf was going to be bought by OpenAI, and then windsurf didn't get bought by OpenAI, and then Google just hired the top people from windsurf and bought a license to the software, and then left all the employees to clean up the mess. And then Cognition came and bought the remainder of windsurf. If you remember that dilemma, well, that's just what happened with Grok. So Nvidia paid off the investors, bought Grok's founders and key employees to come over to Nvidia, and then left the rest of the Grok team to continue operations as is. But Nvidia has a non-exclusive license to the technology, so they basically can do what they want with Grok's technology. But it was a $20 billion price tag. But I just thought that was interesting,
Some people got paid though. Still, seems like a new pattern in Silicon Valley. Like, is this the third? So windsurf, number one, or situation, that was one. Second situation, who else got bought by license? Scale AI, right? I guess it wasn't necessarily licensed, but they stole Alex Wang.
Yeah.
And I think the same way, right? I think they bought part of Scale or some bullshit like that. Now we have this thing. Maybe it's like a strategy.
Well, I think you can get around because if you buy the actual company, you have to go through the M&A process, and you have to get regulatory approval. And if you're getting too powerful, then, they'll say hey, this is too much of a monopoly, so no. But if you're just hiring the founders, and the company, the competing companies is now still exists, but obviously isn't at full strength, you basically get their technology, you pay the company for a license of the technology. So that competitor company's doing well, but they don't have the talent anymore, the leadership. So they're probably not going to go very far. But you now have the talent and you have the technology, and you didn't actually have to acquire anything. So you get around, it's like a loophole. And the only people that seem to suffer from this loophole is most likely the employees that are left behind.
Yeah. Because they're not, hopefully they're getting paid a little.
I would hope they get paid a little, but their options are, in Grok are now worth a lot less because the company's worth less because the leadership's gone. So imagine that doesn't help your stock options. But maybe you get, maybe there's some bonus involved. I'm sure, I would hope they would do something, but yeah, I don't know.
Is the incentive Grok's so the incentive though, let's say you get left behind and you have this license deal with Nvidia, so you have guaranteed revenue, let's just say, and you go as far as Nvidia goes profitability wise because your one client makes you all your money, let's just say. Then I guess it'd be good for the people like Grok, but oh man, that just sucks because people don't want to be on the losing team. So they'll probably leave, and then
Yeah, I imagine they'll feel left behind. They weren't one of the circle that got brought over to Nvidia, so they got left behind. And most people, right? 95% probably are left behind. Maybe more, maybe 99%. I don't even know how big Grok is. And just to be clear for those listening on audio, this is Grok with a Q, which is not the same as Grok XAI's AI product. So just know that it's the inference, infra company.
As of 2025, according to Gemini, 650 employees.
Yeah, so I don't know how many they're pulling over, but I would guess it's less than 50, right? It's the top people, and so if you're not one of the top 10 to 50 people, you're left behind. But anyways, that was kind of the big news. ZAI released GLM 4.7.
Dude, this is epic. It was an epic release.
So this was kind of a wild way to end the year because it performs really well.
Yep.
And I've been seeing a ton of hype where people are basically saying this is now the open source coding model to beat.
I
So
agree.
you can see the benchmarks. It compares even favorably in many cases to Sonnet 4.5. It's not quite Opus level, but it might be better than Sonnet. And that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they were Open Code was giving this away over the weekend. You could try out this model through their Zen, and I tried it out. But my test is stupid. I just tell it to do the same thing, which is the Minesweeper test. So,
But I'm assuming it passed.
yeah, dude, it's easy now. Too easy. I need to make a new
Yeah, we need a new test.
litmus test.
No, we have the new test. Rebuild Git.
Rebuild Git better, yeah.
Rebuild Git.
Yeah.
Build the plan, rebuild it on your own. Well, what can you do in a one-shot Git rebuild? And then that's the test.
Okay, so I think we should rebuild Salesforce next. That'll be the next.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, well, watch the GPUs melt trying to do that.
Yeah.
There's another model release. Minimax M2.1 is officially live, built for real-world coding and AI native organizations. So it's a 10 billion OSS coding and agent model. So I have not heard as much about this compared to GLM. I guess we can maybe compare some of the benchmarks here. Maybe see if I can pull them up. Let's see. Sweetbench. Do we see Sweetbench verified? So what do they score on Sweetbench verified here? 74. And so GLM 4.7 scored a 73.8 on Sweetbench verified. So that was one that's comparable. Terminal Bench GLM 4.7 was a 41 and
47.
47. Wow. Yeah.
I need to
So
try.
so maybe, and at least some of the ones that they both advertised on, they don't show the AIME 25. So it's hard to know on that one, but yeah, it is competitive. Definitely in the open source land, probably worth giving a shot. But again, had some really good open source models drop. It's like Christmas presents to people who care about open source models.
Yeah.
So we had LangChain released a state of agent engineering report. I'm going to be honest, I haven't read the whole thing, but it has some information. If you're curious on what organizations are thinking about when they're adopting AI and trying to build agents, you can see the use cases. Customer service is a big use case, research and data analysis, content generation, code generation. Biggest barrier of production. This maps with all the, a lot of the Master users I talk to and a lot of the people just building agents in general. Like quality of output is always the biggest barrier to getting an agent into production. Can we rely on it? Is the output good enough? And then I've heard of all these other things as well, but I would say that tracks with what I've seen, talking about observability, talking about evals, which models and tools. So I would say this probably tracks pretty closely as well with what I've seen. I do see that as teams get, if it's coding agents, they're almost all using Claude, but as teams get more enterprise, they seem to use more Anthropic models. But
Yeah.
In general, the first thing people choose is just OpenAI because I think it's the default.
Yeah. It's the default in most people's examples. But also I would say it's a good default too, like if you're just doing some basic stuff.
Yeah, I agree. If you're just getting started, just it's good out of the gate. Just use it, and then as you get closer to getting something working, you might want to test different models. I wonder if the default could eventually just be one of these like cheap open source models, though. It's like, oh, these new models are good enough. Just use this, and then when you get your output to like 80%, now test these different models and see if one performs better for your task.
Yeah, like it is very wasteful to use Claude's like Opus's power for every little thing, right?
Yeah.
But as a user, I don't want to have to think about switching models. Just like as a human, I don't have to think about like where I put my effort into reasoning, right? Like for some things I don't think that hard, and some other things I have to think very deeply about. It's two different modes I have. Um, so we have to abstract that, I think, to make this all actually work. And
This is,
Opus is expensive.
yeah, I think we'll have some predictions around this.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot that needs to be done this next year to make that easier. There's too many models. It's too hard to choose. There's a problem to be solved here.
Indeed.
All right. So some more news. This is more just a call out. Super Memory is, they've been shipping some stuff. So, props to that team over there. I don't know, what's the guy's name? We need to get him on here.
Metrovia.
Yeah. I don't know. Whoever the guy is that, is the super memory guy, one of those people, get him on the show because they've been shipping. And yeah, they've been shipping they have a memory bench. They've been shipping some integrations. I'm excited to test and look into memory bench a bit more and see how master memory compares on that and some of the new stuff we're working on. So yeah, kudos to that team for shipping over the holidays. At least they're maybe it's stuff they've already shipped, but they're talking about it over the holidays like they just shipped it. So as we often do, we have some GitHub repos of the week. So if you're looking to throw around some GitHub stars, we can do that right now. The first GitHub repo of the week, I saw Composio launched awesome Claude skills. And last week, I think it was like 8,000 stars, and now it's at 12,000. So this thing's going, insane as far as like star count. So I'll give it a star. If you're looking for wanting to learn from some awesome Claude skills, maybe contribute some of your own, there's a whole bunch in here. You can learn more about skills, install some, try some out. It's a cool repo. On top of that, we were talking about it earlier, so why not just go give it a star? Go find Wit in, Abhi 91 is the org name. Go find the Wit repo, give that thing a star. See Git being rebuilt in front of your eyes in TypeScript. So go give it a star.
Stars, we're killing it.
Yeah, get with it, get with it and go give it a star.
Get jiggy with it.
And that's our news for today. You know what that means?
It's time.
It's time for the last episode of the year. This is going to become a thing we do every year.
Yeah.
Where we want to review the past year. So we're going to go through some of the top moments. I'll just kind of talk through a timeline. We got a whole bunch of things we'll talk through, and then we'll do our predictions as well. Before we do our recap, which is just a side note, I feel like I've said Karpathy's name like 3 times now. So that's going to be like a drinking game. Every time Shane says Karpathy, you got to take a drink.
That's like 4 times.
This is like the fourth. We'd all be 4 shots in at this point. But, he's been posting some good stuff. So why not talk about it?
Yep.
Karpathy, and I didn't this was actually, we could have talked about it last week. I didn't because I thought it'd be better fitting for this episode. Karpathy posted his LLM year in review, talks about RLVR, which is reinforcement learning from verifiable rewards, his ghosts versus animals, and jagged intelligence, which I think is actually a really good way to think about it, is that LLM intelligence and human intelligence are jagged in different ways and they don't exactly overlap. So that's why you shouldn't think of an LLM as exactly like a human. It's kind of like a human is an animal, it's a living being, but LLMs are more like ghosts that you summon to do a certain task, and they kind of spawn and then they go away, and their intelligence and the way it works is a little bit different, but there is some overlap, of course. Cursor, and then the new layer of LLM apps, Claude Code, which is a big thing, vibe coding, Nano Banana. And so good information there. I would highly recommend reading this entire article. I think he has a lot of good points. I wouldn't say I agree with all of it, but I think it's definitely on point for most of what we talk about here on this show.
Yeah. What a year, dude.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go month by month, and I'm just going to announce, and to be clear, I 100% had ChatGPT do some deep research and generate this. So if we don't like it, if we don't agree, we should call that out. So we're going to go month by month. I'm just going to read the list of things that happened in that month, and we can reflect on it. And if you're in the chat, this is a live show. So please, what do you think? Are we missing anything? Is there anything specific as we get to a month that, you remember at this point in time? We can kind of all like reminisce a little bit. Let's all, reminisce, take a few minutes and kind of go back through this year, because it has been a pretty wild year if you've been following any of this AI stuff. All right. So January, DeepSeek R1 launches. That was a big deal. I remember that.
I remember that day, dude. That was great.
And that was the day when people were like, "Oh, China is coming." Like these models. It's not just U.S. models that are the top. OpenAI had O3 Mini reasoning model. OpenAI Operator, they had their browser agent went live. And also towards the end of January, Qwen 2.5 debuted. So another, like Chinese model, which was like OSS model, right?
Yeah.
So that was January. And one thing that I think, to me, I don't remember when the timing was. It was probably sometime in February. So maybe it was end of January when MCP started to like pick up. Like I wouldn't say it had its moment yet, but it was definitely like having its moment. Yeah, and Sebastian says, like, I can barely remember what went down a few months ago. January feels so far away now. I agree. It's kind of hard to remember when different things happened. So let's do February. So ChatGPT had a deep research, or it launches deep research, or their agentic web researcher. Claude 3.7 Sonnet shipped, and that had hybrid reasoning. And Gemini 2.0 Flash and Flashlight models rolled out in February. So that was February. I would say for me, like that's probably when the MCP moment happened for me. And like we decided, as at Mastra, we have to support. We have to support MCP.
Yeah.
In March, we had
January. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think I'm having. January and February were interesting because we were just starting YC and we were learning kind of stuff from the ground floor. Like even with OpenAI Operator, I remember like browser use like being so against it, and we were like at the ground floor of like the closed AI hype, right? Like OpenAI is not open, like Operator sucks, and then browser base was trying to get in that game too. Interesting times in January.
Yeah, it was January and February were very interesting, and March, that was one thing that wasn't on this list. That's when Mastra had its kind of moment where we went pretty viral on Hacker News and GitHub. Yep. That was in March. Maybe it was into February. I think it was early March. Alibaba had a reasoning model released. Gemini 2.5 Pro was introduced. Qwen 2.5 Omni, 7 billion parameter model with multimodal and speech shipped. So that was a bunch of stuff that happened as far as like models in March. In April, Meta announced Llama 4.
Oh, can I interrupt 1 second?
Yes.
So in this time, we were hearing about Chinese models from like Tyler, our friend Tyler, but no one like gave a fuck. It was like, oh, that's cute. Like we only cared about DeepSeek at this phase of the year, and like, oh, those
no one. Yeah, no one cared about the other models yet. It was all just like they were interesting, but they weren't very good. Like DeepSeek was the first that people felt, okay, this is actually competitive.
Yeah.
But then, I think we'll see as we get further on the year, the other models caught up.
Yeah.
The other model providers caught up quite a bit.
I think Perplexity was the one pushing the DeepSeek narrative too, because they were running DeepSeek within Perplexity. So all the like no one knew that the Chinese were coming. I'll just state that in the timeline here. No one knew that the Chinese were coming, but they were
Yeah,
built.
just that there was DeepSeek was here, but yeah, that was the only real threat at that point, or what people perceived as a threat. So in April, Llama 4 was released, and
Which was
kind of crickets, I would say,
yeah,
because no
a
one's
fucking
talking
flop.
about any llama models at all anymore. And
Since the flop, they never recovered.
yeah,
Facebook had to fire everyone and then give everyone $100 million to come work for them just to unfuck themselves.
and then fire everyone again, and they still haven't shipped anything of note. So I don't know what's going on at Meta. It's not good, whatever it is. Like, what are you doing there? It's not. Maybe there is some good things on like other areas, but not in the models, right? They're not releasing anything that anyone's using that I've heard of in their models. Why would you use Llama when you could use any of these other open source models that are significantly better across almost all benchmarks? So OpenAI's O3 and O4 Mini launched. Qwen 3, which again, still no one was really, maybe Qwen 3 was kind of noteworthy, but still not that, that important yet in April. In May, we had...
I remember in April, we talked about like, we were kind of going through it felt like a model slump. And we were talking about how like nothing's like getting better. Like 03 and 04, like we're all like, it doesn't matter. They weren't like great,
Yeah, I feel like in March, like Gemini 2.5 was pretty good. Like that was pretty like decently, a decent improvement. But then yeah, 03, 04 Mini, like it definitely felt like a slump. There wasn't, I think at that time we were basically saying like, have we reached like some kind of plateau?
Yeah.
If it started to feel like we'd reached maybe a bit of a plateau. In May, we had VO3, which as a video model was a huge step. Like that had a moment. Also, one thing that wasn't on this list, I think it was like March. There was like the Ghibli moment too.
Ghibli moment.
So ChatGPT images, right? Like Ghibli had its moment where like ChatGPT images got even better than they were before. But that was back in March. So now we're in May, VO3. Then we had Claude, Opus 4, and Sonnet 4 ship. That felt like there was like some improvements, but it didn't feel like it was a huge improvement.
No.
I don't know. It was a modest improvement, in my opinion.
Yeah, like life didn't feel different.
Which is funny because going from 3.5 to 4 was a modest improvement, but I think 4 to 4.5 was way bigger. GitHub Copilot launched a coding agent.
Flop.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in enterprise. I don't know. You tell me, chat. What do you think? Is anyone using GitHub's Copilot coding agent? This is in May was when OpenAI agreed to buy Windsurf for $3 billion, but the deal fell through. So just to set the timeline. In June, Cursor 1.0 shipped. Cursor had been growing quite a bit, but that's when they had their 1.0. They had background agents.
That's when I switched to Cursor.
Yeah.
From Windsurf, all the drama too. I was like, I'm out. I'm going to Cursor.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Gemini 2.5 Pro and 2.5 Flash. I think they were kind of already announced, but they, I guess, rolled out a little bit more widely.
Also, Google was like, real G's move in silence like lasagna. Google was just building and like no one like was looking at them. They were doing their thing.
Yeah.
No one really cared. Like some people, I remember telling people or like feeling that, oh, you're using Gemini in production. Like, what are you doing?
The only reason people were using Google prior to like that time frame was because they had larger context windows. That was it. That was the only thing that Google had. It was not better in any meaningful way from people that I was talking to.
That's
The only
why
reason was if they needed the really big context, they could send it to Google and it would at least kind of work.
RAG is dead. Was when this notion of like the minute Gemini had a million context window, RAG is dead, polluted the sphere of life. You know.
Yeah. It's like, why do we need RAG if we have a million context window? And that was Google's contribution. Okay, so we're in June. We had Cursor. Apple had this illusion of thinking paper, which kind of made some waves, if you remember that. Yeah. We got July. ChatGPT launched its agent, the agent within ChatGPT. Grok 4 from XAI was released in July. Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite. And then this is where July, when Google actually hired the Windsurf team and got the license, hired the founders, and left the rest of the team for Cognition to acquire later. So that was July for us. Anything else in that time frame? I'm starting to remember now. That it's like, it feels like a year is a really hard time. 6 months maybe gets a little easier to remember some of this.
July. As you've been putting the months, I've been going in my phone and like looking at all the pictures we took at those
to try to place like where we were at that time.
Like May, we were in Japan. We did the whole Japan thing. Monster went viral in Japan, so we did that. June, let's see, June. Tony got married, so that was cool. I'm just thinking about personal things, and then monster-wise, what did we do? That's it. We're good. Nothing else.
Yeah, what about July?
July. What did we do in July, dude? Nothing much.
Just heads down.
Yeah, we're just heads down. I don't have
heads down shipping.
I don't have any pictures of us. We usually take pictures and do stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. So August, that's GPT-5 launched. OpenAI announced their real-time API was GA in August. And then this is also Nano Banana time. Nano Banana launched. So with Gemini 2.5 flash image. So that was a big moment, right? It was like, that was another step change. The Ghibli moment was, kind of a step change. And then Nano Banana had its moment where it was, okay, not only can we generate amazing images that are really, that kind of listen to what you actually want much better than before, but now you can actually edit existing images in a way that you couldn't before.
Up until, and then, like in this time period, I also remember feeling that everyone wanted to build voice agents, which I don't feel the same vibe around it today. But at the time when people cared about how much OpenAI real-time cost, and then people were trying to use like DeepGram for this and that because it was so expensive. Yeah. Like those were like engineering problems that people wanted to do with voice agents, and I don't know if people actually went through with it.
So I guess here's the question, because we used to hear a lot about voice agents, and we still do a little, but not as much as we used to. So that means one of two things happened. Either people gave up voice agents and said it's not quite ready, or people found a solution and it's good enough. So no, that's the question. And I know there are people shipping voice agents, so I don't want to say that there aren't. But the question is, did it get more quiet because more people decided they wasn't quite there yet and they're waiting? Or did it get more quiet because people just found good enough solutions and they just, don't need to talk about it anymore?
I think maybe it's a little bit of both. Because earlier this year, during this time, a voice agent was not the same thing as an agent. There's like a whole product classification of this is a voice agent. And at Mastra, at least between you and me, we were like, what's the difference between a voice agent and an agent? An agent is just a voice agent is an agent that can speak and listen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a communication channel to an agent.
Yeah. And I think that's what actually transpired, is why we don't really hear about it, because any agent can become a voice agent.
Very possible. Yeah. And then, so one other thing in August, XAI open sourced the Grok 2.5 weights. So that's kind of interesting. So September, we're getting closer to the current time. September, Anthropic raised a 13 billion Series F at $183 billion valuation. So that's big money.
And some people,
OpenAI. What?
some people in town got rich, like that.
Yeah.
So
Yep. OpenAI launched Sora 2. That was a
epic.
pretty, yeah. That was, people felt like that was even a bigger step. You know, VO3 was a great step, and Sora 2 was even, you know, another step on that. Qwen 3 Max launched, and I think that's when people started to really feel like Qwen was, you know, was a big deal.
Yeah, dude,
And
that
then
tiny.
Anthropic, and then Sonnet 4.5 was released in September, which was a big deal, but still not as big of a deal as Opus, in my opinion. But it was a pretty sizable improvement from 4.0.
And then we went to AI Engineer Paris, and we went to Paris in September.
Yeah,
That was tight.
we did. That was a good time. So October, ChatGPT launched Atlas. I don't know. Is anyone using Atlas? I'm not.
No,
I think I kind of feel like, you know, then OpenAI launched their Code Red recently, so maybe I wonder how much they're caring about Atlas these days. But if you're in this chat, are you using Atlas or any other AI browser? Or are you still just using Chrome or whatever you used before? VO 3.1 shipped, but I think that was like, I didn't hear that much about it really. Like there's some improvements, but Sora kind of took the wind out of those sails, I think. And that was October. So not a lot happened in October, actually. A little bit more of a quiet month. Maybe we're missing some things. If you know of anything that happened in October, drop it in the chat. November, Gemini 3 launched. Nano Banana Pro launched. Grok 4.1. And then Opus 4.5.
that was. I mean, that was epic. That was the epic month.
Yeah.
Because Google, like Gemini Studio, was sick. Like,
Yeah, Gemini Studio had a bunch of features got launched into it as well. That's right.
I feel it was like a culmination. Like, okay, so Google working in silent. People were like, Google sucks. They have Gemini with their big ass context window, but people only used it for that. Like, oh, I don't use Gemini for real stuff. Then silently over the year, they come out and they say, "Yo, Gemini 3 is the shit. Here you go, boom." And Gemini 3 is very good, and the whole interactive experience. It just we kind of called it the whole year, but it's
you can build apps within it.
Yeah.
Now you can have your notebook LMs in it. I mean, so I still use ChatGPT as my primary, but it's becoming more and more likely that at some point I'm just gonna just use Google.
Yeah.
Like I'm feeling the pull, and anytime I try to use a little bit of everything, anytime I do use it, I don't notice any kind of significantly worse or better than ChatGPT. It just feels just as good to me. So why not have all the other features that you get with Google?
Exactly. It's a perfect complement or substitute for me. And we're already paying Google a shit ton of money for our company. Might as well just keep using all their shit. That's how I'm thinking, you know?
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see if more people feel the same way, but
Yeah.
I am thinking that Google is I think winning in that regard. I mean, I think OpenAI still has the most daily users, I would guess, but Google's got the distribution. I think Google's going to win the consumer. And yeah, we'll talk about, I guess, our predictions there. But so in December, MCP was donated to the Linux Foundation. OpenAI GPT 5.2 was released. Gemini Live 2.5 Flash shipped. OpenAI's image models were released, and NVIDIA unveiled Nemotron 3, which are open models, and then NVIDIA also, quote unquote, acquired Grok with a Q, or at least the team and the license, some of the team. So yeah, a lot of things happened this year. Big year.
We forgot some stuff.
No, I know we forgot a lot.
November, TypeScript AI announced itself to the world.
Yeah. TSAI Conf. That was a big deal.
AI SDK V5 was a big part of my year, so I gotta put that somewhere. I think like July or around there.
Yeah, that was like in July timeframe, June, July, and
Yeah,
then AISK V6 just launched last week.
yeah.
Yeah, so
So man, what a busy year. So much shit happened. And this show, we did a bunch of episodes.
yeah, 55, 54, 55 episodes of the show. We're gonna do 50, at least 50 more next year.
Yeah, at least.
We're committed to doing at least 50 more. We did 50 this year. We're gonna do at least 50 next year. This has been a good year.
Yeah.
If you're listening, what was your favorite memory from the year? Something you remember where you had to be at that point in time, something AI related, either the DeepSeek moment or some kind of announcements where you're like, whoa, this is gonna change how I work.
Yeah.
I can name 100 of them. I think it feels like we've went through a couple dozen at least uh, in the last few minutes. But yeah, what was your moment where you've, because obviously if you're listening to this, you're at least somewhat of a believer that this is going to change how we work
Yeah.
in some way. So you've probably experienced some of the same things that Abhi and I have. All right.
Yeah.
This is the part where I've been waiting for a long time.
All year.
Yes. I mean, we make a lot of predictions in this show,
Yep.
but this is the one we're going to be able to go back to and say, like, did we get this right? And some of this stuff is going to be hard to really know. You know, it's going to be hard to judge. So we'll have to use a little bit of a little bit of judgment. Well, we'll ask an LLM next year. Did we get it right or not? And we'll let them score us or grade us. Maybe that's the way we should do it. Where do you want to start? What are some of your predictions?
Excuse me.
First of all, let's do one final thing on 2025. Because we talked about this like 3 months ago. What do you think? Who do you think won? What's the best model, the best overall model company, and then the best like coding agent? Because I think there's like two classes in my opinion. What do you think?
Okay, so at the beginning of the year, I think my bet was the best model would be Claude, and then the best coding agent was Windsurf. You know, like I thought it was the best. I'm ending the year thinking Opus is the best model, and Claude Code or any variant of using Claude in a coding agent, doesn't matter if it's Claude Code or anything, is the best. So if you use Cursor, that's totally fine too, but you should just be using Claude, you know? What about you?
Yeah, I think it is. I would split it saying that I think Google is going to win the consumer LLM space. Like I think they're going to win. They're going to beat ChatGPT long term. I don't think Anthropic and Claude are going to win the consumer space. So I think that in that case, like Google is best positioned to win. Whether their model is absolutely the best or not, I think the whole product suite that they're building it's just too good to ignore.
Yeah.
I think as far as just models themselves, I think Opus 4.5 is, especially for coding tasks, is insane. It's the best I've seen. I've seen some people say GPT 5.2 Codex is really good, but I mean, to me, Opus is the clear winner. And Claude Code by far right now for just like coding agents. And I would say like if you're using, whether you're using like an extension in the IDE to use Claude Code, or you're using some version of Claude Code, but I think that's Claude Code specifically with Opus is a clear winner for me.
Yeah. And I do think Gemini 3 for like just I don't know, every day, like a daily driver, you know. I've been using ChatGPT though. I started the year using ChatGPT heavily, but I think it's more Gemini now.
Yep. I'm in that transition point to use more Gemini, but I still use ChatGPT probably more right now, but I'm feeling the pull where I think if you ask me in 2 months, I don't think I'll be using ChatGPT as much anymore, other than just to see how it is.
So what about 2026? Where do you think? So now we know where we stand at the end of this year. What do you think end of 2026 where it's going to be?
Okay. So
Also, guys, put your stuff in the chat
Yeah.
too, what you think, and we can.
Yeah, put your predictions. So I think that this is tough. I think Google is going to be the lead, I think, at the end of next year, because they're just too well positioned. I think they're not quite there yet, but I think they will be. It'll be clear. I think Google's going to be the winner on anything consumer related. Now, coding, I don't know. I don't know if Anthropic can. I wouldn't have thought Anthropic could have kept the lead to this point. So, and I think there's just a lot of people trying to win in coding.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? So, I think Google's going to win next year in the consumer space. I think they'll have more users than ChatGPT. That's my big prediction. I think that they'll surpass daily users of Gemini.
Dang.
In I don't know how they'll vet that, because I think if you use Google search, you're kind of using Gemini. I don't know if they count that as daily users. They shouldn't. So I think more people will use the Gemini app than ChatGPT by the end of next year. That's one of my predictions.
I would agree. I think, okay, so for, let's say, general model 2026 winner, I would say Gemini. Let's see how that goes. Coding, I'll say Claude family, but I think the Chinese are coming still. And I think ZAI, we're going to see more ZAI. Like GLM, this is how usually things go. Like Airbnb said they used GLM like a couple weeks ago. We did it on the show. We talked about what Airbnb uses. Ever since that article come out, so many people started looking into GLM because it's like a trusted entity that's used it. Now GLM's free and open code for you to use. This is all signs to ZAI coming in some capacity next year. I'm going to make that. The Chinese are coming, and the first mover, ZAI, fuck DeepSeek.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think they're making moves. Yeah. I'm trying to think if any other company can win in coding land. I don't think OpenAI can win. I think they're going to be good. They'll be competitive. I think they're actually, surprisingly, I've heard a lot of good things about 5.1 and 5.2 codecs. Like, they're pretty good, but I just don't think they're going to catch Claude. I think Google is going to do okay. I don't think they're going to quite catch Claude. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So I still think Claude is going to win, but I'm biased right now.
Yeah.
Because I've been Opus pilled the last couple weeks.
So I'm still Opus pilled, and I believe in America. So USA,
let's go.
baby.
All right. What other predictions do you have for 2026?
I have a hot take prediction. RAG is going to come back.
Okay, explain.
Back. Okay, so, and I guess this is a good segue into context engineering, right? We started off the year in early 2020 or late 2024 where RAG was all the rage, right? And RAG is essentially search, to put it simply. Then we went through the RAG is dead phase, and now we're in this context engineering phase. I don't think RAG, the term, will come back, but I think people will recant all their RAG is dead stuff. And I think 2026 is going to be the year of memory.
Okay. I don't think anyone's going to recant their past. I think you're giving people too much credit. No one's going to come and admit they were wrong, but I agree with the sentiments. I definitely don't think RAG is dead. We do we have some predictions. So manual programming will be gone, only building using vibe coding. That's a bold prediction for 2026.
Yeah.
What about XAI's LLMs? I think they're going to still be competitive. I think they're investing too much. Like, at some point they're going to catch up a little bit. I think in some ways it's like they're actually pretty good and they are competitive, but there's just a negative perception for some reason on their models. But I do think that, I mean, we were looking at like personality tests, and like Google actually was really bad.
Yeah.
But XAI was very good, and like actually, which is surprising because you'd think that XAI would have the weird personality if it was trained on a lot of X data. And I know it wasn't just, trained on that, but yeah, I think that's I think they're a dark horse still.
Yeah. And some people will I guess some people will gravitate to those providers for price and other benefits. But then like the top end will be this, and it's like a whole distribution graph.
Yeah. And I think XAI's investment into data centers at some point could pay off, but they're still competing with, Google's obviously got very deep pockets as well. OpenAI had an early lead, so they're still competitive. That's why I think actually Claude's it's surprising that I'm predicting Claude to still lead, because I feel like they're the least funded out of all those, right? To be the least well equipped to compete, but they've been doing it so far, so maybe they can keep it up. And Communicator says web search with Grok is one of the best. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, actually.
Pretty good.
All right, so some of my predictions. You said agent memory, so let's pull on that thread. I think agent memory is going to become a really big deal. It already is a big deal. I think there's going to be more focus on that. How do we quantify that? I think we're going to see more memory benchmarks, as far as here's different ways we can measure that our memory is better than others. Just like you see, there's tons of LLM benchmarks, right? You see there's a list. Everyone cherry picks the ones that they look great at. There's not that many memory benchmarks. I think we're going to see 2 or 3 or 4 more significant memory benchmarks by the end of the year.
And
by the end of next year.
And it'll be from companies that are doing memory products.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're going to continue to see bigger players, the bigger players being Anthropic, OpenAI, maybe Google, launch memory features behind their API. So it's like you can use their memory with the models without having to like store the memory yourself and things like that. So they're just be like adding memory features into the LLMs themselves. I think that's a sign that memory is becoming more important. And then I think we'll see multiple, probably, but at least one where we could say like that's a big company that got into the memory game with some kind of like integrations with frameworks, hosted offering of like we'll store the memory, you can retrieve it. Could be database companies, they're already kind of doing it.
Yeah.
It'd be hosting companies. There's going to be some big new entrants into the memory space, I think, in 2026.
If I were to bet right now who of the big players is going to get into the memory business, I'm going to say MongoDB. That's my bet. That's that's a prediction.
Yeah, I would not be surprised.
And I have no insider information. I'm just like making a
prediction. Yeah, it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And there's going to be a bunch of new startups, a bunch of people pivoting to memory, just like they were pivoting to all the stuff that happened
to observability. Memory is going to be the observability of 2026.
Yeah. And just so everyone knows, you can always get memory for free from Mantra. Just letting you all know. As you prepare for 2026 and big memory comes and tries to sell you shit, just know that your boys were here telling you do it for free.
So Shabir says, do you think we have intelligent agents now, or are we still doing all the work while vibe coding?
It's a good question.
I think we are getting closer, but it's still not quite there, but it's closer than I would have expected it to be.
I don't think they have true intelligence, but I will say they are capable.
Yes, capable under the right direction.
Yeah. They're little ghosts right now, like Carpathia.
But still fail in strange ways.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, as much as Opus was shipping for me, it could not remember that this old project I had used Yarn. So it would just use npm to install everything. I was like, dude, 7 different Git work trees I've already told you. Just use Yarn. That's what's in this repo. Like I know I don't want to use it anymore either, but we're still using it. So just keep. So there's like little things like that you think it should pick. Normally you'd expect someone to pick up on, but it misses. But then it also picks up things that an average engineer might miss. Yeah. So it's interesting. All right, other predictions. What do you got for me?
So this is already starting to happen, and I think it'll continue. Old school database companies are going to complete the rebrand to either AI search, AI memory, AI graph database, memory thing, AI, etc. And it's already starting. Elastic is now the AI search company. No offense to them, I'm not like harping on it, but most database companies will make the transition to either being vibe code DB for agents or some search for agents, right? What do you think about that one?
I think it might already be there in some cases. If you look at this, would be a useful, because you could go back on the way back machine, right, and see like when did these companies, someone should have a graph of like when they first mentioned AI on their homepage, right? And you could plot it. You could plot like unicorn tech company now mentions AI. And I think you would see there's already hundreds this year
Yeah.
that now mention AI, right? Like, let's look at some examples. If I go to MongoDB, I'm gonna pick on these people because they're our friends. We know people over there. Do they mention AI on their homepage? Well, they have a see how you can ship your AI vision faster. That's their main CTA.
Nope.
Ask MongoDB Assistant right on their homepage. I wouldn't say it's like saying we're the AI. I don't think they've like changed positioning, but they now have AI features listed.
They haven't changed positioning.
Oh, but if you click on their little, okay, we're gonna share this. I see what they're doing. All right,
I love
so
MongoDB, by the way. Just playing.
yeah, I like Mongo too. So if you go to the business leader, your database reimagined for the AI era. So there it is, like selling to the business person who needs to ship AI, right? Like they've been given this, their CEO tell them we need AI. Like, oh, I see Mongo has AI.
Yeah.
Mongo's so again, not to pick on Mongo because I think we could go to
Neo4j because I actually
yeah,
despise that product. No offense
okay,
to the Neo4j founder.
Neo4j. Yeah, well, I mean, and I think this is just again, it's a trend in the industry. So not going to pick on any specific companies because I think it's more of just a sign of the times.
Yeah, I don't want to get code
So
rabbited. So
Neo4j build intelligent apps and AI for so it's like AI's in their tagline. It's in their main CTA. All right, so let's continue. Let's replace this with, let's look at Elasticsearch. Let's see. All right, Elastic. So yeah, I don't see them mentioning, like, at least not in their main CTA. It's AI. Oh, but
there
there it is. The search AI platform. So it's not in their main CTA. It's in their their secondary CTA.
Well, I can't wait to see these websites on December 29th, 2026.
Yeah. Who else? Let's pull up. Let's
Who else? Upstash.
Upstash.
They started off as Redis, and now I bet you they have AI, which they probably do.
All right, so let's look at Upstash. Serverless data platform.
All right, so no AI yet.
Yeah, no, maybe Fast Anywhere.
Ooh,
Cutting edge AI.
good job, Upstash.
So
Good job.
so they haven't went full. They probably will. Just wait. Let's keep going. Let's look for Cell on the AI cloud.
Yeah, that was their moment this year.
So they are doing it. Let's see who else we can pick on here a little bit. And again, we say this jokingly because a lot of these people are our friends too. So we're just gonna Netlify, build with AI or
they
code.
read this. I like it.
Yeah. So, but build with AI is in there, not their main headline, but it's in there. The platform, build anything, AI apps. Another thing that we didn't mention during our 2025 year in review is just the massive revenue from companies like Replit, Lovable, Bolt.new.
Yeah,
That was there were many moments, but where their growth was kind of just wild and kind of uncharted territory for growth rates.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about like the lovable moment, the bolt-on new moment, the $1 million hackathon.
Yeah,
The
those are some moments.
oh yeah, well, go read about them.
Yeah, yeah, you've probably experienced them. We got a comment from Communicator Sound says, "My take: AI automated SDLC setup is about to become the next arms race in AI coding tools."
That would be really interesting.
Yeah, tell me more. I want to hear more. What do you think? Tell me more about that prediction. But it's a good take. All right. So we went through a bunch of websites. We'll check back next year and see if they leaned more into AI or if they pulled back. My anticipation is people will lean more and more into it. I don't think it's going away. I think, if you're listening to this, you probably believe it's not going away either. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
I guess here's a question. So 2026 predictions. Are we in a bubble? Is AI in a bubble, or are we going to continue to see, because there's definitely some hype, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of hype around, oh, AI is going to disrupt everything. And then a lot of people are trying things out and it's failing in different ways and saying like, I'm not quite buying it.
Yeah.
So where do you stand? Are we in a bubble?
I have a hot take one on this one too. I think we are in a bubble if everyone continues to focus on coding agents only. If we all double down on coding agents and it's just coding agents for the whole year, then dude, this is a bubble and who cares? Because like I love dev tools and stuff, but I want like critical mass. Like I want this to be around the world. And if then I think it's a bubble if it doesn't escape coding agents. But downside is all these like people talking about harnesses and Claude Code and like all and like even in the agent state of engineering where things are all coding based, it does not make me very hopeful for what we're going to accomplish outside the coding space in 2026.
Yep. I think we are in a hype cycle. It's definitely overhyped a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think even if the models didn't get any better than from what they are right now, you can accomplish a lot of things if you engineer it correctly. And I think that's where people are trying to figure out is how do we engineer it correctly to actually get usable things, usable agents, usable autonomy from these LLMs. And I think you can do it.
Yeah.
I've seen examples where you can do it. It's maybe slightly more narrowly scoped than what people had hoped. Maybe it doesn't live up to all the hype, but I think there's a ton of value that can be shipped right now without any improvements. And we know that things are going to continue to improve because I was on this show talking about how I think improvements are slowing down, but I've saw, at least in my own personal productivity, going from Opus 4 to Opus 4.5 was a huge benefit in my opinion of like just my personal productivity. And again, I don't think that the model is so drastically better. I think it's just a little bit better unlocks a bunch of new things that maybe you couldn't quite do before. And so I'm really hopeful. I think that we are definitely overhyped, but it's going to live up to a lot of the hype, maybe not in every way possible. So I do think we're going to see, to your point, we'll see more than just coding agents this next year.
Yeah.
What exactly? I don't know.
I'm bullish. I'm bullish on Replit because that's like a door to the next phase, right? So I'm like super bullish on Replit. I want them to blow up like this year even more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they already have, but yes, keep blowing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep using us too and keep blowing up.
Yes. Yes. All right. Some other predictions. So we talked a little bit on here about, we've been talking about open source models. We've been talking about small language models in the past. What are your thoughts on those?
I think RL is going to have a moment this year. And if it does have the moment, I think more people are going to become model labs themselves. Like you're going to be a model lab yourself. I'm going to be a model lab. And the ability to have small models freely and like just different models and all this stuff is going to be sick.
I think the ability for small models to do really well on some of these benchmarks and the open source models continuing to close the gap are going to really open up the door for, RL fine tuning, any of those like processes to improve model performance specific to your task.
Yeah.
And so I think there's going to be a ton of tools around that. There will be like more turnkey platforms, which will, yes, exactly as you said, allow you to basically think of yourself like you're like a model lab scientist, you're an ML engineer, right? Because the tools will be better where you can now take a little bit of your own data, sprinkle it in with what was already a really good model, but now trained on your specific task, and it can do, perform at a much higher, maybe get you from 95% to 99.9, which is what you needed to really get, something into production. So I think that we'll see a lot of that. I'm very bullish that that's gonna happen this year.
Yeah, same.
I don't know how we quantify it, but it's gonna. I feel like next year we're gonna feel it and be like, yes, this happened.
Yeah. I think if you take Karpathy's advice in 2026, you'll be here this year. You've had built so much stuff. You'd probably like you would have learned so much from where the coding agents take you. Like I would hope that if everyone's maxing out their plans and stuff, they walk away with like some more engineering know-how so they can keep vibe coding, right? That's the only way we start getting better.
Yeah. On this topic a little bit, I think as we have these more small models, open source models that can do really good tasks, and we have platforms, I think there's going to be more tools around helping with prompt optimization automatically. So you don't need to like do all the context engineering yourself. There'll be tools that will help you with that.
Yeah.
But also tools that will help you choose from all these different models. Because that's another problem is I have all these models. How do I optimize and pick the right one? Well, I think there's going to be tools that'll help you say like, hey, we'll help you optimize the prompt for different models, run that scenario with this model, try to optimize the prompt, run a bunch of test cases, try it with this model, optimize the prompt for this model, see which one actually is better for your data, your use cases. I think the challenge for that to work is you still have to have some data. So you need real world user data. So you should be you should be trying to get these things into production, even if they're not perfect, if you can, depending on your use case. So you can start collecting that data now. So you can then decide as new models come out, how do you evaluate if this model is actually going to make your agent or whatever you're trying to automate away actually better. But I think we're going to see more of like those types of tools, which are kind of related to the RL stuff, but maybe slightly different. I think it'll be attacked from both sides, like RL, but also like prompt optimization, model optimization.
What about evals? Where do you think it fits into next year?
I think the hype on evals is going to die down and it's just going to become like RAG.
Yeah.
It'll be evals are dead, but evals won't be dead, just like RAG wasn't dead. Evals will just be something you do. Like software. No one talks about software tests unless you're like one of those test-driven development people that talks about it like all the time.
It'll become a part of life.
Yeah. So I think in that for the industry that's good, but I think I've already felt we don't talk about evals as much. We just don't. It's not it should just become part of like how you build these things. Just like RAG is a component of context engineering, evals are a component of this idea of like improving quality, prompt optimization, RL, evals. All these things are like if maybe we need to design one of those like what like Dex's context engineering and RAG's like a little blurb in there. It's like this is like improving agent quality and it's like evals, RL, prompt optimization, model selection. It's like these are like components of improving your agent output.
Yeah. I'm excited that like as we're making these predictions and if they go the way we want or whatever, like Mostra is going to be a really cool reflection of AI engineering next like a year from now, right? Like imagine what Mostra was going to look like if all this shit happens. Obviously, you'll be able to do all of it in Mostra because we're feeling it firsthand and then building it into the framework. So I'm excited to see what Mostra looks like next year. It's going to be sick, probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have looked at what Mostra was January 1st to December 31st in a couple of days, I don't think we would have predicted all that. So
yeah,
this is a good prediction. I predict a PC renaissance among enthusiasts and professionals. Local AI creates a new reason to own powerful hardware. I agree with this take. This is a good take.
Good take. Communicator sound.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's already it's if you were a gamer, people like loved having their gamer rigs, right? If you were there's people that were had their GPUs doing crypto at one point, like mining crypto, like it was like there was like a enthusiast market for that, and now there's definitely going to be an enthusiast market for these open source models are small enough and pretty powerful enough that you can wire up a home automation system with a local agent, and it's just like Raspberry Pi type stuff that people like to build with and tinker with. And I think you still are going to need a powerful enough machine over the next year. I think eventually it's just going to be your MacBook is just going to be good enough.
Yeah.
That's what's wild about this thing. But I think for the next few years, you're right that you need a little bit more beefy hardware, and there's probably going to be a market for people selling into that. Any other predictions before we close out the show?
Agent harness is going to be one of those words that we hate.
But sticks around, do you think?
Probably. It's just a dumb word.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, we're going to have dumb words, probably.
Yeah, there'll be I would say, agent harness, I think is, it's now becoming part of the nomenclature. People are using it. I'm seeing it on people's websites.
Yeah. Dude, I've heard of this one agent harness. I think it's called Mostra. Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Mostra, the agent harness. Yeah. I think skills are going to continue to grow. I don't think they're going to quite have the same virality that MCP had, but I think they're actually going to be more used.
Yes.
I think skills will overtake MCP in popularity as far as like actual usage. Now, will they actually? I don't think it's going to have the same like hype around it because MCP was just first, but I think skills will be more lasting.
I hope it has a moment. I hope it has a moment, and there's a registry, and we can make all the same jokes for free. Just same playbook.
I think it will.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Skills marketplace. Oh, there'll be a bunch of skill companies, and Composio will eat all of their lunch. Boom, boom, boom. That's another prediction.
Yeah. I mean, Composio is usually on top of it. So if they have that awesome skills GitHub repo and that went pretty viral,
yeah,
there's going to be a bunch of new incumbents that pivot to skills. They're just like quick on pivoting to like the new tool type things, right? They were first a tool company, then they had MCPs and obviously tools, and now they have skills. I think so. You're right. There will be a bunch of skills companies.
Yeah.
And some of them will just be the ones that did MCP, and will also do skills, and there'll be some brand new that just do skills.
Yeah.
But yeah, there'll be a skills marketplace, skills companies.
I wonder if Smithery will do skills. I'm glad it like rhymes at least. Smithery and skills.
Yeah, get your Smithery skills.
Your Smithery skills.
Yeah, I think I would imagine they would, but maybe not. We'll see.
Henry, do it, man. If you're listening.
Yeah. That's all I got for predictions.
Yeah. I guess TSAI Conf will be sick. 2026.
Yeah, we'll be having Monster Days.
Monster Days will be sick. What else?
Yeah, this is not a prediction. I guess maybe we should do a prediction on Mostra related. Mostra's specific. We are two of the co-founders of Mostra. So December was the first 1 million download month for Mostra. It's not even over yet, but we cleared 1 million downloads, which is, a big deal for us. Growing from basically having no downloads a year ago to now doing 1 million in a month. That's a, amazing growth rate.
Our goal was like 300K or something like in March. So it's tight.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've definitely grown faster than we expected. Yeah. What do you think we're going to be next year at this time for downloads?
Oh shit.
So our max, so we can do weekly, or let's do weekly. Our max weekly downloads. So
1 million a week.
Right. So right now, Mostra, the peak you know, it dips because of the holidays. So it was like 314,000 is going to be the most we hit weekly downloads in 2025. So what do you think? You think 1 million at the end of this next year?
Like what I want. Okay, so what I think and what I want is I want to catch Hono's weekly, which is like 3 million a week. I want to catch Hono. And we can never catch Hono because we use Hono. So like our million goes to their million. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we can only get to, you know,
1 million less or whatever, however many less. So you're welcome, Yusuke, for that million, boy. But yeah, it'd be cool to catch Hono in like weeklies. I think they're like 3 million or 5 million or whatever million.
All right. I think we will 10x.
Okay. Nice.
3 million. That's my prediction. 3 million.
Well, then we're aligned. We got it.
So,
Kevin.
yeah. So we'll see. But that's my prediction is that, you know, this time next year we'll be at 3 million. If we're, you know, if we're anywhere close to that, I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah. Also, I think Mastra will look different next year too. Not like drastically, but it'll be more capable, let's say, for different use cases.
And related question, any plan for durable agents, you know, support for agents that can run for hours? So,
Indeed.
I mean,
You could already
so
do that.
the thing is, you can definitely already do that, especially if you have workflows that call agents. And I mean, you can fire that thing off and let that thing run all day.
Yeah.
It will work. I think it's a combination of good templates to show you how to do it, and then also maybe some more tools just to make it easier.
Yeah. Because I use a Mastra agent to do my WIT stuff. So it was running for a long ass time. But the word durable here, I think, is important. Like Mastra's gonna be able to scale better too next year.
Yeah. All right, dude. We talked about keeping this show shorter. We didn't do it.
Nope.
We're still 2 hours. That's how we do things around here. We usually go for a few hours. If this is the first time you've listened and you made it this far, what are you doing with your life? But I'm glad you're spending some time with us. We appreciate it. Go find the show on YouTube. I can put it on the screen here somewhere. youtube.com/@Mastra-AI. Give us a subscribe. You can go to Spotify, give us a 5-star review if you like the show. If you're bored and you don't like the show, please don't give us a review. We just appreciate that you're still listening. And we're on Apple Podcasts and other places. Next year, we're getting a producer. We are trying to take this up a slight bit in quality and production value because we've heard people like it, so we want to keep doing it, and we have fun doing it. So yeah. We're glad you spend a chunk of your Mondays, or if you listen after the fact, with us. Anything you want to say? End of the year comments before we close out 2025 AI Agents Hour.
I think I'll leave 2025 on a good note. If you were to ask me where we would be at the start of the year and what has transpired, I would slap you in the face that it's never going to happen, right? And to see it all, because I'm a pessimist at heart, I would have been like, nah, that's never going to happen. And then to see what's happened is quite amazing. And I think a lot of that is us doing this show, keeping up with AI because it's our job, but also like maybe it's more becoming a passion. So like, thanks for everyone watching. It really honestly helps us, helps the company. Thanks for using Mastra. Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna bring on a lot of guests next year. We're gonna increase the quality of the show in a lot of ways. So your feedback into the reason that you're watching this or listening to this is kind of feeding into and posting comments for the people that do. Like Shabira makes us want to keep doing it. So we're going to try to do it even better, right? We don't want to just do things and not try to improve. So we kind of been, I'll be honest. A lot of times we were half-assing the show this last year, and we're going to do even better. Yeah. So that's our commitment to you. We're going to be around and we're going to do this show next year, 50 some episodes from now. If we do one every week, maybe we have to miss a week, but hopefully not. So we're going to commit to 50 episodes in 2026. That's another goal. And we'll be here next year doing the same kind of show. Yeah. So appreciate you all for watching. appreciate you, as Abhi said, for using Mastra for those that do, or just coming here to learn more about AI and AI agents. Even if you don't use Mastra, that's cool too.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah. Yo, that show's a wrap. We were live in the zone. AI agents out with Shane and Abby on the throne. Did you give us that review? Only if it's a 5. Jump on the tube, make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, news so fresh, yeah, we keep you in the loop. Guests so fly, they bring the whole troop. AI on the rise, don't miss this power. Welcome to the show, it's AI Agents Hour. Did you just drop in? Is this your first time? Make sure to follow us on X and go like and subscribe. Yeah, learn the principles and patterns in our books. The master.ai site, give it a look. Yeah, news so fresh, yeah, we keep you in the loop. Guests so fly, they bring the whole troop. AI on the rise, don't miss this power. Welcome to the show, it's AI Agents Hour. This is the end, we all wrapped up. Another showdown, another one coming up. AI Agents Hour's done, but the news doesn't cease. Shane and Abby, we out of here. Peace.